All right.
Hi.
Here we are. Impromptu episode.
Yes.
It's a Monday,
Yes.
which is, brutal
Random.
brutal for both of us.
We both had a long day.
Really long days.
Much needed.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheersies.
Yeah.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do these episodes,
Excuse me.
I do a little bit of preparation. Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I come in with a little bit of background research.
You always like to do a spring one on.
It's my
spring something on me.
Yeah, it's maybe like my podcaster sort of mentality.
Also your teacher mentality.
That's true. I got to be one step ahead of my students.
You're very
Not that you're my student.
prepared.
That sounded almost like Lionel Richie there for a second. But yeah, so I have a little bit of prep, not too much because I want it to be fresh. But this one we just were like, you had a song idea and we're like, let's just go with it. Like we literally, we have thoughts on the song, but I didn't do any background research.
Well, I hope it's okay. I mean, I don't know much about this song at all.
But it's such a great choice.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I hope there's nothing. Anyway,
let's do it. So can I tell a quick story?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in the Peace Corps.
Yes.
And I was in Macedonia.
Yes.
And I'm going to try to tell this quickly so the audience isn't falling asleep or changing their podcast feed. So I was in the Peace Corps.
Yes.
And I was in Macedonia. Macedonia was part of former Yugoslavia, and which Yugoslavia broke apart due to all kinds of reasons, but ethnic hatred was one of them. When I was there in like 2007, 2008, 2009, there was a little tiny country next door that the UN was overseeing called Kosovo. Today, Kosovo is an independent country. At the time, it was not independent. It was being overseen by the UN because there was so much ethnic hatred in this, what had formerly been part of Yugoslavia. Ethnic Albanians, ethnic Serbs at each other's throats. The UN was overseeing it. So anyway, all this to say,
he's a history teacher.
One of the few times that we ever got invited to like a party, like an embassy party or because we're in the Peace Corps, you're not part of like the diplomatic corps. You're like the diplomat, like the TV show, right?
Yeah.
All these things. The Peace Corps is like, you are not part of that at all.
You are like on the totem pole.
You are living.
Yeah,
you're like salt of the earth, like living the poverty life.
Peasants.
Yeah, and that's part of the appeal of the Peace Corps, honestly.
Yeah.
But sometimes, somebody in the Peace Corps would make a connection and like get invited to like a party that like maybe some of the junior level officers were having. So I went to one of the few I went to. And at that party, there was a bunch of people. There were some Germans there and there were some Swedish guys. And these Swedish guys, as it turned out, they actually were part of the UN peacekeeping force in Kosovo. Kosovo was just across the border. And they were in Macedonia, taking a break from putting up with the shit in Kosovo. Anyway, whatever. Met these guys. They were cool, whatever. Flash forward 6 months later, they're getting sent home because they made a video and posted it to the then brand new fledgling website called YouTube. And it was a parody of the song Kokomo.
Called
Kosovo.
What's wrong with that?
No. It was a rip on the peacekeeping force. It basically like made fun of their efforts to keep the peace.
Oh.
But it was so well done. It was so funny.
Well, that makes me want to watch.
I'll definitely have to dig it up. I mean, I can imagine now like how low budget the quality must be now. It was made in like 2008, but it was so well done and so on the money.
They got sent home.
Oh yeah, it was very much like you're making a mockery of what we're doing here. Like there's just no way we can keep
posting
here
for the world.
Yeah, so funny.
And they were Swedish?
They were Swedish, and it was great because Kokomo's, we'll talk about it, lists all like the countries, and they did the same thing with all the countries in that part of the world, and they just had some great lines in there. I mean, these are Swedish guys, so they're operating in their second language. And it's just like, once again, proving to me like how Europeans are just like their language chops
Fluidity
compared to us.
Yes.
All of that to say,
Yes. Kokomo is our song.
go,
That was a long intro, babe. Really
that wasn't
long.
like by our standards. That wasn't that long.
I guess we do. Go.
I'm gonna look. I actually have not been putting links in the show notes because a lot of it's just like whatever. But this one I will put in the show notes if you want to see it. If you might just be like Kosovo. Okay, dude, I'll take your word for it. But it actually was one of the more clever, especially because it involved international relations, and these guys literally got sent home over it.
What are they doing now? They're blacklisted.
Anyway, welcome to, but I won't do that today. It's Kokomo by the Beach Boys.
Yeah, Kokomo. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go, Kokomo.
All right.
So, well, I mean, the only thing, okay, so you're blind, so you don't have any of your usual little things that you like to
I don't have my
start out
nuggets.
with. Yeah. So I just I just remember thinking, I had no idea this song was by the Beach Boys.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's funny because so this song comes out in 1988.
yeah, the 80s. Sorry, everyone.
But this is like, we're talking a good almost 20 years since the last relevant Beach Boy album.
Yeah, is it the same Beach Boys?
Oh, good question. We can look at the roster here in a second.
Okay, well,
I wonder. I think by then one of them had died. Remember, one of them died like he drowned. Yeah.
I remember that, but what a way to go! If you number one, they didn't surf really, and all this stuff,
Right.
but still he drowned by.
Yeah.
That's how he died. But anyway,
Let's just give a quick recap here of
yes,
Kokomo.
yes.
Kokomo is a song by the American rock band The Beach Boys from the 1988 film Cocktail. That's how I know it. I had the cassette for Cocktail.
No.
Recently I saw. I don't know if viewers have you seen Cocktail, a Tom Cruise film from the 80s.
I mean, if you haven't, you should, just for like pure ripability.
Guess what? Yes. Guess what? Rotten Tomatoes has listed for Cocktail.
47.
Like 8.
8?
No, like I could not believe how low it was. I mean, I remember it being kind of a cheesy movie, but literally I was shocked at how low.
Do you want to hear? I have a story about.
Yeah, go for it. While I look up the Rotten Tomatoes.
So, when I'm sure I saw Cocktail in the theater. Have really no recollection of that, but remember watching it on VHS tape on a in-apartment date from a 9% on Rotten.
That is really hard to do.
That is so low.
A 9% on Rotten Tomatoes is like I think that's harder than getting 90%. I think you could actually have a harder time hitting 9% than 90%.
Recently, there was a movie that was 8%.
Recently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, recently that I looked up. It wasn't a recent movie, but something that I looked up and I was like, whoa, that's bad. But wait, no. So my story.
Yeah.
When I lived in Huntington Beach, my best friend Yvette was my roommate. I met some guy at a reggae night at dancing, and we scheduled a date for him to come to my house, and we watched Cocktail on VHS.
Yeah.
The entire time we were watching this movie, his nose whistled. Like every time he would breathe in.
Oh.
So he would breathe in, it was quiet. And then I just like could you no focus on anything but his whistling nose.
Oh yeah.
And so he was 6'8". So I was just thinking, people who are really tall have whistling
noses.
I just thought that was a fact from one person.
Based on one person.
But I'm 6 feet tall, so I think he thought, oh, she's tall, I'm tall. Let me ask her out.
Yeah. This was also on their album called Still Cruisin'. Still Cruisin'. Right?
Are we sure about that?
We're still around. Written by a bunch of people. Mike Love, I recognize his name. The song was released as a single in July 1988 and became a #1 hit.
Wow.
It was the band's first original top 20 single in 20 years. There you go. So 68 to 88.
But it doesn't. What's so what makes me written by. So, who's the Pet Sounds?
Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson.
No,
is
yeah,
not on.
Brian Wilson was long gone by then, right? Because he had his mental breakdown in the 70s.
Okay.
And
So
yeah, he was gone.
Okay, so yeah, I can't believe it's number one.
It went number one. The lyrics describe two lovers taking a trip to a fictional place called Kokomo.
Oh, it's fictional.
Not much is known about it except that it is located off the Florida Keys.
Oh God.
And it's in the Caribbean. And actually, that's something I'd wondered for a really long time. I actually kind of assumed Kokomo was a real place, and then I was like, I don't know, years later that I actually bothered to look it up and was like, oh, they just made that shit.
Well, and they spelled it with a K.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird because I was looking it up and I'm like, oh, it's a great peanut butter coconut snack food as well, but that's with a C.
Interesting because it's from the Cocktail soundtrack. So the B-side on the single was Tutti Frutti by Little Richard.
Oh, brother.
Like an old hit.
Yeah.
From the soundtrack. Okay, so this was released in '88. Genre, yacht rock. Like almost literally.
Oh, hey, there's a documentary about yacht rock.
Oh,
we should watch that.
Yeah, we should.
But also, so well, you know, it's something we should really dig into too. Is all these genres? How many genres are there?
Oh, I know. You could just make up a genre every time,
which is bothersome. They should have specific genres. You can't.
Who gets to decide though?
Well, who does get to decide? The R&B people, the like. Not R&B, but the record guys, like the Billboard people. Is that who's deciding the genres?
Radio. But the thing is now with like Spotify, I mean, how many different genres are on Spotify?
My God, the things that Spotify likes to sum up for me, like my last week was cowboy.
Yeah, the day list. Yeah, they're creating genres.
Yeah, they're creating stuff for me that I'm like, hey, I don't know about you today.
Yeah,
and you keep going back to the same well, Spotify.
Yeah,
like let's spread things out a little bit. I'm trying to spread things out.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry everyone, I'm digressing. Moving on.
No, it's fine. Let's go to. I want to go into the lyrics, but really quickly on the background on my BF Wikipedia. The verse of the song came from a demo by John Phillips from the Mamas and Papas.
I love California.
And Scott McKenzie, best known for his 1967 song, San Francisco, Be Sure to Wear Flowers in Your Hair.
What is that?
If you're going to San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which Phillips wrote. The Beach Boys' Mike Love added the chorus, which lists the name of islands, and suggested that Phillips change the lyrics from the past tense to the present tense, transforming the tone of the song from melancholic to inviting.
Well,
but that is, how interesting is that though?
That's a good
You change the tense and it goes from being something like this place we used to go to, oh, come on, let's go.
Okay, how about,
that's cool.
Speaking of tenses, do you know that countries in which don't have like tenses in their language, that everything is like present tense?
Yeah.
Those countries are
communist?
No. More prone to saving money.
Oh. Is this like a Malcolm Gladwell theory or something, or is this true?
No, this was the podcast what's the spin-off science one from Lab Radio Lab.
Radio Lab. Yeah, nice.
On Radio Lab.
That's so interesting. So what's the theory on that?
So like, okay, it was Finland and who else?
Some Americans just hate when Finland comes up. Finland's like, Finland in education.
Well, Finland. They're just, I want to live there. I mean, I've never even been there, but I don't know. There's something that's so appealing, like, so even if they're mean and say like, oh, you look like you've gained some weight, I want to go there and know that. And
what they're known for?
Be honest. Oh yeah. They're pretty straightforward. Craig, my friend, his mother was Finnish.
Yeah.
And
no, I mean,
my
former brother-in-law's Finnish. I know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
They'll just tell you like it is, but I love it. Like I always like that. So anyway, I just like this idea that they theorize that because everything. What was the theory? I'm so terrible about this, remembering things.
Yeah.
Like
No, but okay, so they're like, maybe like they're a little more live in the moment.
well, which
They
seems
use
like the
present
opposite.
tense.
That
Yeah,
you
you're right.
wouldn't save
You're right.
money.
So you wouldn't save.
Maybe it was something.
We'll look this up,
Yeah,
listener.
sorry, everyone. There's something about
Yeah.
tenses and saving money.
Okay.
It's
Well, while you're looking that up,
okay.
we're gonna get into the lyrics, like as I promised. But one more thing I want to follow up on, because I said something about Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson, who, we could maybe we do another Beach Boys episode, because Brian Wilson, one of the great American songwriters ever, right? The Brian Wilson, if you're watching this and you're like under the age of like 40 or 30 and you're just like, who the fuck is Brian Wilson? Brian Wilson is one of the great American songwriters, and in the late 60s, he and the Beatles from the UK, of course, were engaged in a sort of competition, writing one great song after another, and he had a sort of mental break in the 70s. But they, he has an incredible catalog of songs. And actually, I said earlier that he had left the band, but I was a little mistaken. It says here that the recording of Kokomo featured every current member of the group except Brian Wilson, who did not attend the sessions. In his 1991 memoir, Wouldn't It Be Nice?, Wilson claims he was unable to contribute to the song because he was committed to recording his first solo album, and his bandmates deliberately did not inform him of the session date until it was too late.
Cold-blooded.
Well, he claims. But yeah, so apparently he still was around in the band, or he'd come back to the band. I know that like he had left the band for some time, but interesting.
Wait, it says available session date information does not substantiate this claim. However, I don't know about the that. Okay, but listen to my language tense thing.
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay, so research suggests a correlation between language structure, particularly the way language expresses time, future tense, and savings behavior. Languages that don't strongly distinguish between the present and future, often referred to as futureless languages, have been linked to higher savings rates. Conversely, languages with strong future tense, like English, may be associated with lower savings. So it's like, the language is different in how much they distinguish between the present and future. Professor blah, blah, blah found speakers of languages that rely on future tense make more future-oriented choices, including saving money, retiring with more wealth, and smoking less. That doesn't sound right, because one of the places with the tense thing.
But I don't know, because I don't know. I'm just going off the top of my head here. But I mean, Americans used to save, and then like,
But then credit cards.
And then neoliberalism was like, what if we just encouraged you to spend all your money? Americans used to save.
Mm-hmm.
And then Americans now barely save. And I don't think it's like Americans are like,
I feel like it's interesting, though, that there is a correlation between our languages, because personally,
yeah,
I don't really save that much.
Yeah, neither do I.
Well, good.
All right.
I'm not good.
We're going to take a break. We're going to get some more champagne.
And
then we're coming back with the lyrics of Kokomo, beginning with Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take ya. Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Be right back.
Gross.
We're back.
Yeah.
Daisy's just passed out.
She's asleep. She's sound asleep. Can you see her?
Let me see. Can we see her? Oh my gosh, you really didn't need to do that, love.
I'm so mean.
There she is.
I always wake her up.
We had to leave her alone for a lot of today. She didn't go with Becky to work. She was very upset. She's so
mad. She was attacking me.
Yeah, she likes to like bite us, especially Becky if she's not. Look at her.
What a flattering portrait of face.
Portrait.
Sorry.
Oh, you.
Nurse. I'm holding her up like a prairie dog on my lap, and with her.
Yeah, she's a good girl.
We, I don't know if we said that we got her from. Oh, we did. We talked about the Pug Queen.
The Pug Queen. Yeah.
But she has she's very nipply.
Well, she had a lot of babies.
She was used
She was at a puppy mill.
puppy mill mother.
She's a good girl.
She's a good girl. Anyway, sorry.
So good though. No, she's.
You lay
it's
down.
great.
You go back to sleep, you little.
All right. So, I mean, it's not exactly the Canterbury Tales here. Yeah. Off the Florida Keys, there's a, as it turns out, fictional place called Kokomo. That's where you want to go to get away from it all. Right? Come on, this is. I mean, we're talking about beach songs,
Yeah.
bodies in the
It went
sand,
to number 1.
tropical drink melting in your hand.
This is probably the California Girls of
We'll be
88.
falling. I think you're exactly right. We'll be falling in love to the rhythm of the steel drum band down in Kokomo.
It's perfect for summer. I mean,
And-
you know what? When did they release it? I bet you then. What does it say? What month it was released?
Yeah,
Because
yeah. It
I
was
bet you-
released July 8th.
perfect, right?
What, July 8th? Oh, okay.
This
Cool.
maybe seems late, but it was
Little late,
probably
little late.
real time perfection. The
Mhm.
thing is, like, you know how now it's like Brat Summer, or when
sure.
California Girls came out,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
that summer. Like
Yeah.
these songs that they release, and I'm sure it's completely intentional, but I feel like in the day, were they as intentional as they are now? Like everything is so marketed, and
I feel probably not as much.
the time frames of everything.
Yeah.
Like influencers. It's Coachella. It's what's
Yeah.
the Western one? It's like Stagecoach. It's,
Yeah, exactly.
everything is like the what is the like the calendar of events for influencers. Can you
Right.
even imagine?
Yeah. Oh, it's all spelled out. There's not actually really much to say about the lyrics. I mean, we'll put out to sea and we'll perfect our chemistry, and by we'll defy a little bit of gravity. I mean, these are pretty lightweight lyrics. I did want to go though to the video, only because when I think of the video, what do you think of? Can you think of the video?
I don't even know what the video is.
John Stamos. That's what I think
I
of. Do you remember this?
Stamos. No.
No, Stamos. Okay, hold on a second. I'm gonna play it here. And while I'm talking, we're not gonna go into too much depth. It's sort of this like, we're on a Caribbean island and we're gathered around like what looks like
Look at all these extras.
the extras, yeah.
Oh my
There's
God.
Mike Love.
Mike Love.
But they're performing, and there's some cocktail scenes. Let me pause just for a second here. So, if you can imagine like any really like Caribbean island, luau.
Yes.
A luau's Hawaiian. I'm sorry, but like that's like basically what we're talking about.
Some
Like,
sort of- they're
and,
yeah.
and the Beach Boys are playing there. That's what we're seeing with scenes from Cocktail.
Okay, juxtaposed.
Right, and you got go ahead. You can say whatever. I'm sorry to.
Well, no.
But look, but then you got interesting, huh? Hold on, we got some cocktail scenes here. Who was the woman in Cocktail?
Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue. Jesus. Oh yeah, it was Elizabeth Shue. Look at that hat.
Yeah.
And look, Stamos. Stamos in
Who is he?
in the pink.
Tank top. Don't ever wear a tank top. And the thing is, like, oh my God, women in bathing suits,
He's playing the bongo.
but also 80s bathing suits.
But hold on. So while this is playing, let me tell you this about the music video. The video for Kokomo was filmed at the then recently opened Grand Floridian Resort at Walt Disney World.
Because you can tell it's not somewhere foreign.
Although-
the extras they have in that front row clapping along to
Yeah.
the band are like a little overacting even their joy at watching a band. Like you can see this like excitement. They're like, and no one is ever doing that when they're watching a band anywhere.
Although they had not played these instruments on the recording, Mike Love is holding a saxophone, Al Jardine is playing a tambourine, Carl Wilson is playing a guitar, and Bruce Johnson is playing the bass. And actor and occasional Beach Boy live guest John Stamos is playing steel drum.
Wow.
Wait, hold on. Occasional? In 2011, NME, big music publication, ranked the video as the 17th worst of all time, commenting, quote, "It was as if Mike Love had taken the Beach Boys, quote, name straight out of Brian Wilson's hands, and we were forced to watch footage of Tom Cruise mixing up Bloody Marys. Thanks, guys."
But Okay, that just makes me think how bad was the hello video ranked? Like,
Oh yeah, we got to look that up for
yeah,
sure.
but in the all-time pantheon.
Let's go to Stamos though for a second, because Stamos is interesting. If you're like our age, you probably first think of him as Full House.
I think of
Oh,
him as General Hospital.
oh, General. Okay.
I'm older than you.
Okay.
Not that we need to get into that. But General Hospital was such a thing, which is why I knew that song. Remember when I was saying, oh my God, that was the Luke and Laura song.
Okay, you're right. Yeah. You're right.
Was it though? That was Peaches and Herb.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right. It was the General Hospital song.
Peaches and Herb, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had it. So here's Stamos. So Stamos, yeah, he's an interesting guy. He gained recognition in General Hospital. And then later, he's known for his work in television, especially in his starring role as Uncle Jesse in the ABC sitcom Full House.
And Shout out the Row.
Wait, who did he marry?
The Olsons.
Didn't he marry?
I don't know who he married. But the thing is,
wait, Rebecca Romaine? Is she a model?
Yeah, he married her, but I don't think that he was serious about that marriage.
No, they were married for like 7 years. Okay.
Whatever. Then he said on Howard Stern, I remember listening to that interview, that he would never marry again. He was like a sworn bachelor and all this shit.
He married Caitlyn.
Yeah, too. I know. I was so kind of stoked for him because I remember feeling sorry for him.
Yeah.
When he said that, because you could just tell. And then it's these guys, these like sworn bachelors, like George Clooney.
Yeah, I'll never marry.
No, but there's
and then they get to be a certain age and they're like, oh, actually.
No, but and then they've never been happier. Like like even like David Letterman, he got married, had a kid. It like seemed like it changed his life too. Like there's people who like realize that it's more than. I mean,
but what do you think? I wonder, for a man like that, what changes their perspective?
Like John Stamos.
Like, what do you think changes their perspective? Is it maturity? Because it's like
there's something
kind of late in life.
There's something to do with maturity, but I think your perspective shifts on like things that matter, things that are meaningful.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe that has to do with maturity, but also I feel like you can have this realization that at the end of the day, don't you want to be able to talk to someone, relate to someone, understand someone, have someone understand you? And also, I reckon, like, laugh with someone.
Big time.
Like, because on Howard Stern, he seemed like kind of like the type of person who, number one, could have any girl in the world, but he just had a personality. He didn't seem like, you know, he seemed like I've heard, what's his name, Kieran Culkin on like a podcast. He seems like dumb as a post, you know, not interesting. Sorry, am I canceled?
For what? For saying he's boring?
Boring. Like not interested in anything. It was on Smartless, and they're like trying to glean 1 ounce of interesting behavior like, is there anything about you? Like, do you like to cook? Do you like nothing? He's married to some girl named Jazz that he met at a club. Like, I remember listening to this podcast thinking, dude, you're like, go back to bed and just don't get up. But like,
back to Stamos real quickly here. So Stamos has occasionally performed in concert with the Beach Boys, dating back to 1985. So this video, for the Kokomo video, this isn't like some random, because the first time I saw this, I remember seeing this, I think it was like, I don't know, say it was like 10 years ago. I saw the video for some reason, and I was like, what the fuck is John Stamos doing in this video?
I would not.
And I texted, maybe it was my brother, and he was like, yeah, I think he like plays with the Beach Boys sometimes. I was like, what?
It's so random.
And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh my God, it's true. And he plays, in 1988, he appeared in their video Kokomo, in which he played conga drums and steel drums. In 1990, he played drums for them on the title track of the comedy Problem Child. and appeared in the song's music video. He's played with them. What is Problem Child?
I have no idea.
Oh, sorry, we're gonna look here really quickly. Problem Child is a 1990 American. Well, like it's listed in Wikipedia as a black comedy, directed by Dennis Dugan.
Let's look at
John Ritter. Oh my God, Ritter.
Oh, but let's also look at what this Rotten Tomatoes is.
Hold on. The film received negative reviews. Let's go to here.
Negative.
They always have the reception. Here we go. Reception. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, blah, blah.
Rotten Tomatoes, right there.
What is it?
Right here.
Yeah.
Because...
Whoa, hold on. Rotten Tomatoes. It has a rare approval rating of 0. 0! The Problem Child. We have discovered the Problem Child line. It is 0%.
Don't watch this. In other words,
Fuck, is that still true?
It says mean-spirited and hopelessly short on comic invention is a particularly unpleasant comedy, one that's loaded with manic scenery chewing and scenery chewing.
That is unbelievable. Hold on. I'm going to put this into Rotten Tomatoes. Sorry, folks. We just have to look this up because I've never...
a shocked moment. Problem Child.
John Ritter.
Who's Michael Oliver?
I don't know.
Ew, look
0%.
At that child.
It's still 0%. Holy hell.
Well, so we thought 9 was rare. How many other, I wonder how many 0% on
That is
Tomatoes.
Unbelievable. Okay, let's get back to Kokomo really quickly.
Yeah, let's go back to our...
So let me go back to the video here. They're playing. The guy's, Mike Love has a pink hat on that says Beach Boys.
But he started out with a green hat.
I mean, the thing is, by the time, 88, these guys are they're probably in their late 40s or mid 40s. I mean, these guys are not I think he's got his shirt, unbuttoned.
But Mike Love, there's a podcast episode about Mike Love and how he, his drug decline and how he was, known to be just this nicest, most agreeable person. He let, total con artists and strangers live with him in his house and take advantage of him and all this stuff. He lived up to the name Love, I think. He was a very loving person.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Beach Boys, again, like I said, they deserve almost their own episode. But,
yeah, I love them.
The Beach Boys. I mean, what's your favorite Beach Boys song?
In My Room.
In My Room, why? It's a beautiful song.
I just love, I had that feeling. I feel like growing up and to hear that song and to understand, to think that there's other people that I think I'm an introverted extrovert because I know I can be extroverted, but really I love that, something that I remember kind of learning about myself when I was young is that I love to be wrapped, I could be happy, wrapped up in a blanket in a closet, and I discovered it because my brother and I would make forts and stuff. And so I remember some of my favorite times are just being all cozy, wrapped up in this tiny little space and feeling safe and cocooned. Yeah. And so that's kind of how My Room made me feel too. And so I think that song made me realize oh, I'm not alone.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute.
What's your favorite Beach Boys song?
Probably Good Vibrations. I just think the harmonies in that song are just incredible.
It just is such a commercial to me.
No, it is. And I think that's actually one of the things that I, growing up, I liked the Beach Boys. And but I kind of, at some point, got to kind of think of them as being a very commercialized band. But it wasn't later till I read some things about, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, that their competition with the Beatles, how John and Paul were engaged in a really a heated competition with Brian Wilson.
Which is so crazy.
The Beatles saw the Beach Boys as their rivals. They would compete to make singles and albums, and they really were, an incredible band. And they both kind of flamed out at the same time. The Beach Boys, because Brian Wilson went into this depression, and basically, I think, as I recall, they basically did not get out of bed for like several years.
Yeah.
And there's a great early 70s documentary I saw once a long time ago. It's all about the Beach Boys, and it's really well done. But all the interviews with Brian Wilson, he's lying in bed, and he's got like this big beard. I mean, just like, it's really
But
horrible.
didn't John and Yoko have this bed moment?
Yeah, but that was like a protest.
Oh.
This was like a depression.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, all this to say, like, it made me really rethink them, like the Beach Boys, because I always thought like they're fun, but they're lightweights. And then maybe later, like in my 20s or 30s, I was like, oh shit, no, they're not lightweights at all. Like Brian Wilson is like so legit. And
Yeah, I had no idea of any of that stuff. I guess I benefited from my father's musical taste because my dad loved the Beach Boys. And so he owned a stereo store when I was growing up, and like the music he had in there, and like he would bring stuff home. And I don't even know if my mom like didn't seem like she was really into any music except folk, like Peter, Paul, and Mary and Simon and Garfunkel, who I love, but my dad had this taste level. He was into specific soundtracks, like 2001 soundtrack, or he had these like this kind of crazy musical taste, but he was so into the Beach Boys. He had all of them, and we had a Harman Kardon stereo system that was wired throughout the entire house when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And like, which I didn't even understand, but I would just play with the turntable. I would play the Beach Boys because I liked them, and I would just listen over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, in the way that I would play for you, my brother and I would also listen to these old time comedy albums.
Yeah.
That you thought were hacky. But Stan Freberg, very good. History of the United States of America. But
don't recommend.
But I connected with it somehow, and I don't even know, but I'm just lucky that it was beautiful music, but also like Little Deuce Coupe and like
No, for sure.
So many,
for sure.
I know the words backwards and forwards, like just would sit in this green velvet chair and listen to this music.
Yeah.
So visceral to me.
Yeah, they are an American classic for a reason. I know. I think that they we mentioned like Katy Perry, we talked about Katy Perry in the last episode, or mocking, or she's a California Girls update. And in a way, it's almost kind of sad because, I mean, Katy Perry, I mean, I know that like she has some hooky songs and they're fun songs, but she's she is a lightweight. She's a genuine lightweight. And the Beach Boys are not.
Well, she's a lightweight with a really good voice. I think she has a really good, personally. Okay. I think she has a really great voice. And it's like she's a songwriter.
But I guess I'm just saying, like, the Beach Boys are, I feel like they've probably reached like underrated status, because I just think that when people think about the 60s, the Beach Boys are not. I could be wrong.
I think so many people, like, I think Elliott Smith was influenced by them. I think Smashing Pumpkins.
No, for sure. I think that's fair to say.
So many people were influenced.
But those were in the 90s, though. I mean, I just wonder today, though, do people?
Oh, you think like
I don't know.
They're not appreciated?
I don't know.
Because I feel like people are appreciating bands like Elliott Smith, like. I feel like Tom York. I feel like Radiohead is influenced by the Beach Boys. I feel like there's so many important bands of today that are influenced by, bands like the Beach Boys.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think, I remember reading this once that, Brian Wilson, he didn't tour with the band. So he wrote and recorded, but he didn't tour with them. And he was really like the technical and writing genius of the band.
He was the heart.
He was the heart of the band.
He was the heart.
And he really, in the studio, you know, and this is pre like all the technology we have today. I mean, the technology I use even to like, you know, edit this podcast, you know, he's doing this on like more analog equipment. And like, you know, he's creating these amazing layered vocal tracks. And I think you're right. I think that does, a lot of artists have drawn inspiration from that.
Yeah, artists.
I mean, just to wrap up here on Kokomo, right? I mean, Kokomo, you know, it's such a funny track because, you know, it's not Brian Wilson, most definitely not Brian Wilson. I mean, it's not, the song feels very flimsy, but at the same time, you know, kind of like we talked about Hey Soul Sister, right? Like flimsy, but like honestly fun.
But also, it makes me think of how you said, like, good vibrations, right? And like your thought of like lightweight because it was so fun.
Yeah.
So is the thing about the fun the thing? Like, because number one, the Beach Boys, they conjure up something of there's something like, you know, I think of the Beach Boys and I think of surf, sand, beach, waves, joy, summer,
Right.
like all
Right.
this, like vacation. It's
Yeah.
like a state of mind
Yeah.
that they conjure up. And that's what a rare thing, right? Like that a band, that Beach Boys, the name of the band, Beach
Yeah.
Boys, makes you think of a whole like experiences you've had in life of joy or of summer.
Yeah.
You know, because maybe radio stations or Spotify, like I don't know what, but maybe you choose in the summer to play more Beach Boys or something, and it just then it brings that to mind. And I think that that's important and something that we need, things that bring us joy and make us like, you know, it's something that makes you think of something better, something for yourself, something, you know, chill and relaxing and,
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, just like the best moments of our lives.
Yeah. Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you to Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego. Baby, why don't we go? I want to take you down to Kokomo. And
I want to go, actually.
I kind of want to go.
Let's go, babe.
Let's go to
Cheers.
Kokomo. Cheers.
Kokomo.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next
Catch
time.
you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.
That seems like something the Beach Boys would say.
Bye, everyone.